Hey, what's up? Alex here. And, you know, I haven't really talked about living at home, transitioning, but it's hard. God, it's hard. And it's hard for me to talk about it, which is why I haven't made a video on it. But it's a huge part of my transition, and it's an even larger part of my anxiety for surgery. So I figured now is as good of time as any to talk about these things. So I live at home. I'm 29 years old, and I live with my dad. But I am autonomous, goddammit. You know, the thing is, I moved home about a year ago, and I got a great job and was ready to move out on my own. And my dad's a small business owner, and his business is really struggling. So he asked me if I would stay and help out at the house instead of getting my own place. And, you know, I feel really honored to be part of the solution. It's cool to know that I'm benefiting our household, you know. But it's also tricky. It's hard. I lived on my own for 2 years. I had an apartment in a foreign country. You know, like, it's hard to come home and be criticized because I didn't fold the clothes that were in the dryer, you know, or just that's the child-parent dynamic that's difficult to get used to. And it's hard for my dad too, because I do not want to live in our home together in the same way that we have lived when I didn't pay rent, right? When I was just going to college and living at home, right? But now I'm kind of more of a tenant. I'm not so much a child. And it's hard for my dad to change the way that he addresses me, to incorporate an adult persona, you know? So that part is tricky. And then the other part is the transition aspect of it. And there are some parts of transition that are just really intimate, and you only really know about it because if you lived with me, right? I mean, I would never tell my dad that I wear boys' underwear. That would never come up in a conversation. But we do laundry together, and the first time he saw my boys' underwear, he was really thrown off, you know? He's like, where are your flower girly underwear? And I don't wear flower girly underwear, but, you know, it was uncomfortable for him, that's for sure. And there are other things that are like just blatantly obvious that I am transitioning. Essentially, I'm getting a sex change. You know, like there's just so much stigma with that I would love to just have my personal space. And so for a long time, I've been feeling tolerated at my house, just because I'm paying rent. I didn't feel like my dad really wanted me here, but he needs my money, and that makes him sound like a horrible person. He's not like that, but I just wasn't feeling welcome in my house. And my cousin has been staying with us quite a bit, and it was hard to see my dad offer my cousin so much emotional support. He's going through a difficult time right now, and so I'm really glad that I get to be part of like a positive environment for my cousin. It's cool that he comes to our house, but it's hard to see the support that he's getting from my dad and know that I'm not getting it, you know. And so there's some jealousy issues with that too. But for the most part, like, I'm glad that my cousin has extra support, you know. There's plenty to go around, you know. But it makes the prospect of coming home after invasive surgery to a hostile environment really overwhelming. And, you know, and that's what I should have said in my first video talking about my feelings with surgery, is that's a huge piece. Like, that's the biggest component of this, is that I just didn't know if I was going to be welcome home. And it's not that my dad would say, you can't come home. He would never in a gazillion years say that. But I didn't know if it would be comfortable for both of us. And then when I told him that I'm having surgery, he came down, we spoke a little bit about it, and he's like, well, I think I had said, you know, I can go to someone else's house after. I can go to my friend's house. And he's like, well, why don't you want to recover at home? And I said, I do, but gosh, I don't have it in me to be apologetic, and I can't be around you if you're mad at me, or if you're unhappy, or like, I can't do it. I can't be around. I just think about it, and my heart starts racing, you know. And I told him, I just feel like you're tolerating me, you know, and I think it shocked him a bit, and he's been really nice. He's been really responsive to that feedback, and has gone out of his way to, you know, make my favorite dinner, or show affection, or call me up and like if he knew I had a stomachache, to see how I was doing. And those things we were kind of lacking for a few months, you know, and so I just didn't know. I didn't know how I was going to recover at home when a few months ago, the sight of me walking to work, you know, walking to my car, getting ready for work in a suit and tie was really distressing for my dad, you know. And that's how I perceived it. He never said anything, but I look good, god damn it, and he's never once told me that I look good in my professional clothes, you know. Like, there's a reason that I was feeling attacked for my transition, and partly because I was being attacked, you know, in a very passive-aggressive way, and that's just not the way that I relate to the world in any capacity. So I just was a nervous wreck about surgery, because I had no idea that if I didn't know if I was going to be able to come to my own house and be my own things, use my own toilet, and sleep in my new bed, and, you know, watch Star Trek. I didn't know if those things were really realistic. And when my dad's like, well, if I had surgery, you would be there for me, and I just said, you know, what's the word? Reciprocity is not a reason for us to both be uncomfortable. So, I mean, it sucks, but if I have to stay on someone else's couch for us to be comfortable together, then that's what I'll do, because I'm not about to come home and just feel bad about walking around in a bandage, you know, or, I mean, in a compression vest or whatever. I'm not going to be apologetic about this, and so it's huge, you know, your environment, where you're coming from and where you're going after surgery, it's over. That's a huge part of why I'm overwhelmed with surgery. And it was good for me to get out of town, go to Chicago, and kind of leave home for a few weeks, you know, and then it was helpful for both of us, I think. And now 2 weeks, surgery's in 2 weeks, so I think we're making some progress, and I'm feeling less anxious as I'm getting closer to the date, which seems counterintuitive, you know. But gosh, yeah, living with parents and transitioning as an adult, it's tricky. In the best of situations, transitioning is tricky, but I'm lucky that I have such a great dad, and that he's willing to step up. And, you know, I mean, my dad's like 65, right? And the most adaptable 65-year-old I've ever met in my life. Like, he is remarkably adaptable. So I know it just takes time, and I know that we would eventually get there. It's just I have a deadline, because my surgery is like set, you know. So it's comforting to know that he's stepping up, and that I'm welcome in my house after surgery, you know. So anyway, I guess I don't know why I've been putting off this video, but there you go, living at home. It's a struggle sometimes, but it's also, I mean, like, my dad makes the best pork chops and spaghetti, so that works out. All right, see you guys.